Welcome. My name is Jennifer Raye, and in today's video I'm going to discuss the Yin Yoga posture of Dragon Pose and a few modifications and variations that you can use in your practice. So Dragon Pose is a very deep hip opener. It primarily works on the inner groin and the top of the leg where the quads and the hip flexors lie. It can also be a little bit of a back bend as well. So the meridians that are primarily affected are the liver, spleen, and kidney channels that run along the inner part of the leg, the stomach channel that runs along the top of the leg, and then depending on the variation, the gallbladder channel and the urinary bladder channel could also be activated. So watch the video to learn more. For Dragon Pose, I'll begin on all fours. So you can come down to your mat and step 1 foot forward. This is basically like a low lunge in the more active practice. Notice that my front ankle is directly underneath my knee. And from here, I can slowly inch my back foot further out behind me. And then I slowly roll onto the top edge of the back kneecap. This really helps to bring the opening into the top line of the leg, where the quadricep and the hip flexor lies. This is also where the stomach meridian lies as well. Now from here, there are a number of variations. The first is just to simply place the hands on the legs. This is usually the most accessible variation for newer yogis. There's also the option to bring your hands down to the floor. You could place your hands on blocks like so, and then slowly coming to lower and lower stances, maybe eventually bringing hands to the ground. From here, you can bring your hands to the inside of the front foot. And notice here that I'm kind of like standing on train tracks instead of a tightrope, so the feet are a little bit wider apart. As I bring my hands down to the floor, I can spread the palms of the hands, really plugging into the pads of the index and thumb, or I can come up onto the fingertips. If the wrists are feeling sensitive or activated, you can always make fists, and then you place the fists on the floor like so. Whichever variation here you're taking, remember you're opening the top line of the leg and also working into the inner groin where the liver, spleen, and kidney channels run. Now there are a number of other variations. The first is to bring the knee a little bit further forward from the ankle. When I do this, I start to put more stress and pressure on the ankle joint. And so you'll want to take this variation for a lesser amount of time. Another option, I draw the knee back towards the original position, and then I step the toes off on an angle towards the side of the mat. From here, I rock onto the outer edge of the front foot, flexing the foot as I take more external rotation in the hips. Okay, so from here now I'm really working the external rotation of the hip and the inner line of the leg. I could stay up on my fingers, or I could bring myself down a little bit further, resting on forearms. Okay, so you find the variation that works for you, and whichever variation you're coming to, remember you never want to collapse into the diaphragm. So there's a tendency for students as they round forward to really collapse right here. Instead, think of really lengthening the side waist as you fold forward. There are a number of other variations you can use for your Dragon Pose. The first thing to mention is that some yogis find this really challenging on the back knee. And in that case, you could use a folded blanket to offer a little bit of padding for that back knee. Another option is to tuck the back toes. Some yogis enjoy doing that, and so you could experiment with that variation as well. Now another option, if you want to take this posture a little bit deeper, is to come into the Yin Yoga posture of the splits pose. And I won't show that pose entirely here, but just to give you an idea, from the lunge position, from the dragon position, I would start to slide the feet out behind me and out in front of me. Now you can see here that a nice way to start is to bring the hands to the blocks, and then eventually you slide legs all the way out. Okay, so that really helps to open the back line of the leg, but I won't cover the whole pose here today. Now another option, once you are finished, is to take a counter pose. There are a number of different postures that you could take depending on your sequence and what posture you're planning on practicing next. But something as simple as a child's pose can be a really nice release for the hips and the legs. So in that case, I would drop my sitting bones down towards my heels and then release my head towards the floor. Another option is to take a more active pose, something like downward facing dog. And in that case, because you have been experiencing and working with a yin style pose where we're putting a lot of pressure on the connective tissue and the ligaments, when we move into an active posture, we want to really engage the musculature. So for the downward facing dog, you would engage the quads by pulling the kneecaps up and driving the thigh bones back. And that way you protect the joints as you move into a more active pose. Okay, so I hope this helps you to set up your posture of dragon. Be sure to get over to jenniferraye.com and sign up for my mailing list. That way I can keep providing you tips and suggestions for your yoga practice. Thanks so much for watching.